Kamala Harris blasted Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for refusing to take her calls in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Kamala is accusing Governor DeSantis of politicizing a natural disaster and not prioritizing the people most affected by it. Just wait until you see what Kamala Harris said. And now Ron DeSantis has responded and made it so much worse. I'll break it all down for you coming right up. NBC News was the first to report that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was refusing to take phone calls from Vice President Kamala Harris. According to the article, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is not taking calls from Vice President Kamala Harris about storm recovery, just over a week after Hurricane Helene hammered parts of his state. A source familiar with the situation said he was dodging the Democratic presidential nominee's calls because they, quote, seemed political, according to a DeSantis aide. Kamala was trying to reach out, and we didn't answer, the DeSantis aide told NBC News. But in a press conference later in the day, Ron DeSantis claimed he never even received any phone calls from Kamala Harris, directly contradicting his own staff.
I didn't know that she had called, so I'm not sure who they called. They didn't call me, and their characterization of it was something that they did. It wasn't anything that anybody in my office did in terms of saying that it was political.
Given the severity of the storm, since I did want to ask you about politics right now in terms of should
I don't really want to answer questions about it. This is not a time for politics. No, excuse me, Gary. You and your publication will twist anything that's done to try to make a political agenda. That's what you do. That's how you get your clicks. I understand that. I understand that's the business model. Well, but I don't want to talk about politics because, well, but I have a feeling that however you do, you guys will find a way to frame it. That's just your shtick. I get it. It's fine. But I don't want to participate in it. We have had to respond to a Category 4 hurricane. We've had to prepare and now respond to something that may hit as a major hurricane, may be Category 4, may even be bigger than that. We hope that it does, but that should be the focus. And I think some of these questions are trying to create some type of political angle where there's just none there. What we've asked for has been approved. You're not seeing me out there carping or complaining about anything. We have gotten what we need from the feds. We have been working constructively with all the local communities. We have marshaled an incredible amount of resources in the state of Florida to be able to get the job done. And that's just what we're going to continue to do. That's what we've always done when it comes to these types of situations.
Governor Ron DeSantis is basically claiming that NBC News is writing fiction, that he never missed any phone calls, and that his staff didn't say what NBC News claims they did. However, he seemed awfully bothered by the question in the first place. Reporters at the White House asked Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about Governor DeSantis dodging Kamala Harris's phone calls, and she was quick to remind them that Governor DeSantis has already been playing politics by avoiding Joe Biden when he visited the state recently.
There was a report, I believe it was NBC, just as we were coming out, that Governor DeSantis dodging calls with Vice President Harris and President Biden. Is that an issue? Is politics starting to sink into this?
I mean, that's really for the governor to speak to, right? You've heard me mention, I believe in the gaggle last week when we were heading to Florida and Georgia, we invited the governor, right, to come and survey the damaged areas with the president. Obviously, we're in Florida. We invited the governor of Florida to come. It was his decision to not attend or not be there with the president.
But Kamala Harris decided that the public deserves to know the truth, and she called him out in front of reporters. Just listen to what she said.
NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Madam Vice President Milton.
And Governor Ron DeSantis was clearly bothered by Kamala Harris's remarks because he ran to Fox News to double down on his position and make the situation even worse.
And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish
Has she ever
is her
called
trying
before?
to blunder into this. No. And here's
Has
the
she ever
thing.
called before?
She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games. And so she is being selfish by trying to blunder into this when we're working just fine.
I think he would have a point if Kamala Harris was just a private citizen and the Democratic Party's nominee to be president. But she's vice president of the United States. So in addition to the president, Joe Biden, calling you and working with you, it seems to your advantage and to the people of Florida's advantage to also have the vice president of the United States talking to you as well. So refusing to take her calls because you think it's political is hurting your own people. Who knows what additional resources Kamala Harris can bring to the table? Perhaps Joe Biden is asking her to lead the effort so that he can focus on some other things as well. The president has a lot of problems to deal with, and right now it would make sense to give Kamala Harris some of the workload, and she's in a great position to do so. And whether or not it's political, what she's doing doesn't matter. The fact that the federal government is offering you more resources and more people to work with, Ron DeSantis should jump at that opportunity. So he is the one that's politicizing this by making a stink about not wanting to talk to one of the highest people within our federal government. But I know that Kamala Harris will continue to try to work with Ron DeSantis no matter what he says because she cares about all Americans. Doesn't matter if you're in a red state or a blue state, if you're voting for her or you're not, she wants to make sure that every single American has the full force of the government behind them to help them out in natural disasters like this.